It's the dream, right? You're out there on the beach in the Seychelles, or Maui, South Africa, or Australia. What people around you don't know is you're paying for your vacation while you are on vacation. You're earning while you sleep. You are earning while you're sipping on that tropical drink. Dreamers, to make this happen, you've got to generate cash flow with your investments. A flow that will support your lifestyle, whatever that looks like, while you're in control and doing what you please. In order to do this, you have to get down to business first. I recently was asked for some high-yield dividend stocks to generate cash flow. So Super Bray, this one's for you. Let's say you're just starting out. You've got $20,000. Where would you put it to generate immediate cash flow? That's what I'm going to show you today. Now, as you know, I like Dividend Aristocrats, Contenders, and Kings. And if you're curious as to what those are, you can watch my video, Dividend Stocks 101. So you're more likely to see those types of recommendations from me. The more safe, stable stocks rather than the less proven financial products like QYLD or NUSI. I'm also not a fan of the M REITs or mortgage REITs, so vehicles like NLY also won't be on this list because even though they might work fine for a while, one day the piper will come in the form of a crushing loss in stock price. And I'm just a little more protective of my wealth than that. But to each their own. Okay, on to my picks for your cash flow Kickstarter. Now, some of the key questions you need to ask yourself are, what is the dividend yield? How long have they been paying the dividend? And have they been growing the dividend yield? What's the beta, or how volatile is the stock? Do they have enough cash flow to pay for the dividend, otherwise known as the payout ratio? And are they growing as a company by looking at the CAGR? So those are the main questions, and what I've done here is laid all that information out for you as I go through my top 10 picks for cash flow Kickstarters. So going from top to bottom in yield, my first pick for you is none other than AT&T. And if I do a deep dive on AT&T in my video called Best and Worst Stocks this year, so you can go there if you'd like a little more information. But essentially the main stats right now on T is it has an 8.77 yield, which is super high. We know that yield is going to be cut in 2022, but that's the yield today. Beta, really good at 0.7. You want to be under 1.0 because as we know, beta is a measurement of volatility. It has an amazing 35 years of dividend increases, and the target I have here is you want to see at least 10 years. Their payout ratio is 66%, so again, the target for me is between 40 and 60. That to me is an excellent. So they're able to cover the dividend, and what they're going to do when they actually cut the yield a little bit this year is use that extra money to start paying down their debt. But for right now, they're at a 66. And the CAGR is small at 1.6, so that's not so great. But what you're getting here is just a really high yield. So moving on, the next ticker I have is MO, which is Altria, at an amazing 7.6. They also have a beta of 0.7, a very stable company just because obviously the product is pretty sticky, and it just continues to go through recessions, up and down economies, that kind of thing. They've had an amazing 12 years of straight dividend increases. Their payout ratio is a little bit high at 74%, but growing substantially at 8.6. And Mo is one of my favorites just because I feel like they may be a good play in terms of cannabis in the future. Now, PM is Philip Morris, which is the international arm of MO, essentially, and they have a yield of 5.3. Their beta at 0.9 with 13 years of dividend increases, which is great. They also have a payout ratio that's a little bit high right now at 77% and a 5-year CAGR of 3.4. Next one on the list is WPC. It's a REIT at 5.26. They have a good beta of 0.8, 24 consecutive years of dividend increases, which is incredible. Now they have the payout ratio here is high, but it's a little bit of a misnomer because they are a REIT. They actually have to have a high payout rate. The way you think about them is actually AFFO, but for simplicity here, I'm just going to show you the payout rate ratio, which is 86%, and a 5-year CAGR of 1.5%. Moving on, we have a tech company here at IBM, and a yield of 5.21, beta at 1.1, an amazing 26 years of dividend increases straight, a great payout ratio of 60%, and a 5-year CAGR of 3.8%. Now these guys are paying down their debt. They've had leadership change, which is really pouring energy into AI. So I have high hopes that IBM will actually start to turn around and be a great stock as well, in addition to the high dividend. Next we have Verizon at a yield of 4.85. Their beta is so low at 0.4, very stable, and 17 years of straight dividend increases, an amazing payout ratio of just 48%, and a pretty low 5-year CAGR at 2.1. Hopefully they will start rolling out 5G and start to get the benefits of what that can bring to the company. Then we have CVX, which is Chevron. They have a good 4.6 yield. They have a much higher beta at 1.3. That's just because, as you know, gas prices and oil prices go up and down, so a little bit more volatility in this stock. They have an incredible 33 years of straight dividend increases, a good payout ratio of 57%, and a CAGR of 4.4%. The next two are Canadian banks. The first one is BNS, or Bank of Nova Scotia, at 4.58%. They've got a beta of 0.9, very strong bank. Not too many years of dividend increases. They just keep their dividend as it is. Great 49% payout, and a really good 5-year CAGR at 5.7%. The last two is CM, which is another Canadian bank. It's the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce at 4.4%, a good beta at 1.1, not really increasing the dividend, but a fantastic payout ratio at 44%, and a good 5-year CAGR or growth rate at 5.4%. And last, to round out the top 10, my top 10 recos for cash flow, we've got none other than Realty Income with a yield at 4.37%, a good beta at 0.8, an incredible 24 years of straight dividend increases, a 86% payout ratio. Again, they are a REIT, so they have a little bit different legality around what they have to pay out, and a good 5-year CAGR of 3.5%. So now that we have our cash flow Kickstarter list, let's see how our hypothetical $20,000 investment would pay out across the year. I've laid out our picks in the TD Ameritrade Invest Income Estimator, which is one of my favorite tools, and I've actually put them in down here so you can see T, MO, PM, WPC, etc. on the list. And the dividend yields just slightly different because this is obviously live. And so what I've put in here is hypothetically 100 shares of AT&T, 40 of MO, 30 of Philip Morris, 25 of WP Carey, 25 IBM, 25 Verizon, 15 CVX, 20 Bank of Nova Scotia, 15 Canadian, and Imperial Bank, and then 20 of Realty Income. And you can see that adds up to about $20,011, which kicks off $1,112. So you could be generating $1,000 off of every $20,000 investment with this mix. And across the year, you can start to see how that pays out. So on average, it pays out around $92 every single month, but you can see a little bit of fluctuation where in January you would have about $139, February $72, March $66, then back up to $100 in April, etc., etc. Of course, this is just one configuration of this mix. You can kind of play around with it a little bit. For example, you could say, okay, let's do 150 shares of T, let's do 75 of Altria, maybe 25 of Philip Morris, 30 of WPC, let's do 25 of IBM, let's do 10, let's do all 10s here in terms of shares, and then 18 shares at the bottom. And so making these changes go from $20,011 kicking off $1,112 to $20,040 kicking off $1,211 at a yield of 6%. So you can see it becomes a little more uneven in terms of how it pays out. You can see much bigger January's, much bigger May. In July, you can see these are essentially $150, but your total for the year is $1,200 off of an investment of $20,000. Just wanted to show you two different scenarios with the same list of cash flow Kickstarters. Well, I hope you enjoyed that list to get you started with your first cash flow generating a $1,000 passive income stream off of a hypothetical $20,000 investment. Of course, as you drip across the year, that passive income stream will just grow and grow. And if you don't know what a drip is, you can see my video, How Dividends Payouts Work, see my 1.5 million portfolio drip. I just want to end with a cautionary tale. As you get started and excited about the potential of your new life, you might start to chase yield alone. My advice is don't do that. You don't want to end up owning companies you don't understand with stock prices that fall and dividend yields that are unstable. Remember, yield is a measure of risk, so you are taking on more risk the more the yield percentage is. Find that balance of risk of losing the money you put down and return on that money. Okay, so that's it. I hope that was helpful. Bon chance and happy cash hunting in 2022. Let's make this next year count. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe for regular videos on how to make passive income with dividends, and I'd love to know what cash flow stocks you have. Please leave those in the comments for everyone else to see. And finally, remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. See you on the flip side.